an ugly, disorganized, unencouraging, and quite possibly we discovered what could be a fatal flaw in this Illini team. But a win is a win is a win.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome one, welcome all to another edition of Locked On Illini. So much for making us your first listen each and every day. And thank you so much for making the Locked On Network the #1 sports network in the world. My name is Sonny Verma, your host here at Locked On, where I continue to provide you coverage each and every day, and sometimes multiple times a day, such as today, where we do the post-game show. Oh, by the way, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern. All right, so let's talk about the game. Obviously, the game just wrapped up. 73-65 victory for Illinois, a game where, again, if the spread in this game, I believe, was 15.5 coming into this game. So Illinois did not cover the spread. A victory is a victory. I hope you guys don't mind. I'm not going to talk so much about the game because most of us watch this game. I have something else to kind of rant and vent about. And you know what that is? I discovered today, and this might come as a shock to many of us, especially my everydayers. It seems pretty clear that Brad Underwood and Tyler Underwood do not watch Locked On Illini, or in particular, they do not watch the post-game shows. Why? Because I've talked about a potential flaw in this basketball team all season long. I've vented my frustrations to Brad Underwood and some of his, the way he's ran this rotation all season long. And today in Philadelphia, if we had gone up against a better team, I think that flaw would have been basically the death knell of this basketball team. And we would have lost this game, which quite honestly, again, against a better team, we probably would have. And what's that flaw? I think some of you guys in the comment section probably know this. Folks at the Talk Line at Discord definitely recognized this as I was watching the game. Is all season long, up until maybe the last couple of games, because Brad's been a little bit better about this. I've talked about my frustrations with Keaton Wagler playing 40 minutes a game, Kyle Boswell playing 35 minutes a game, saying that, hey, listen, if one of those guys goes down with injury or one of those guys gets into foul trouble, I don't know what the backup plan is. And today, against Penn State, we saw that there was no backup plan. Keaton, of course, let's get it out of the way, had a great game himself. I'll get to some of the statistics a little bit later, but he got in foul trouble today. And a team that was up 14 at halftime, once Keaton had to sit on the bench in that second half, all of a sudden, this Illinois offense seemingly had no idea how to run an offense. And why? Because there was no point guard there. You know, I'm not saying this as a Petrovic supporter, or I'm not saying this for any other reason than, we saw positive Brandon Lee moments in that first half, and I liked it. I enjoyed it. And in a way, don't get me wrong, this is a good thing that it happened tonight. I think Illinois, over the last couple of games, with how comfortable we've won these games, was getting a little full of itself. Obviously, we've been shooting up the KenPom ratings and the net ratings. And by the way, I go live immediately after the game. If you can, in the chat, if you know what our updated KenPom is, please drop it in the chat. I'd love to know, both the offense and defense and overall. But my frustration with this offense, it's so much fun to watch. And I understand that Keaton is the engine of that offense. But what's the backup plan? Because when Big Ten season really hard, look, a lot of teams watch this game today, right? Even if you don't have a single scouting bone in your body, after watching this game, any casual fan of UCLA, any casual fan of Michigan, any casual fan of Purdue who watched this game today is going to go back into their little text message groups or on their own personal Discords or on social media, and they're going to know what the game plan is to beat this Illinois team. And that game plan is simply take Keaton out of the game. And Keaton is small. Keaton is frail. He plays big for his size. But he's still, like, especially when the real physicality of the Big Ten season. Look, Penn State is not a very physical basketball team that we played today. Michigan absolutely is. And the Big Ten Conference has, in my opinion, the best coaches in the country. And today, the game plan of beating this Illinois team was it was shown. You made Superman bleed, as that popular movie saying goes. My frustration all season long has been, look, even if I understand that Petro doesn't fit your style, but if Keaton were to go down with an injury, or Kylan goes down with an injury, then what? You don't have another guard there who can handle the rock. David Mirkovic was playing point guard for minutes in that second half. The offense was going through him, which I don't mind if Tommy or David, okay, I got thoughts on Tommy a little bit later too. If the offense runs through them, once your offense is set. But you need a natural, and we know Kylan is not that guy, right? We thought he was at the beginning of last year, then Kaspersky took over the point guard duties, and then you saw Kylan kind of thrive in that role as he could be the point guard if you kind of need it, but he's more playing off the ball. Well, today, Keaton gets into foul trouble, and this offense has no idea what to do. If you take a look at the plus minuses, I'm just going to read this off. Keaton Wagler, in a game that Illinois won by 8 points. Keaton Wagler, his plus minus was 17. The second highest on the team was Kylan Boswell at 6. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Tomislav had 7. Brad's got to figure this out. You know, and again, I'm a little more annoyed than usual because, you know, I played basketball my entire life. I love the sport. You guys know I'm going to watch this game as soon as I'm done doing this post game because I love learning more. I'm much more of a basketball guy. At least I trust my eyes and instincts than it comes to football. And so if I've been sitting here in front of you guys recognizing this flaw, it's frustrating to me that the coaching staff hasn't. And again, I'm not as upset as a lot of Illini fans are because, you know, you probably should have beaten this team by more, but the spread was 15.5, right? Like, you won by 8. For me, I'm more upset at what this sets up for the future. Hopefully, I believe we don't play for another 6 days or so, right? The next game, I believe, is Thursday. We're playing Rutgers. And those practices need to be what the practices should have been for a while. Find plan B. Because plan A seemingly is, Keaton, here's the ball, go run this offense. Plan B, I don't know what that is. And we're fortunate that the next 5 games are all very winnable. Like today, if we had played a top half Big Ten team today, we would have lost that game. Illinois in the last 5 minutes and 42 seconds did not make a single field goal. That's not very good. You know, a team that looked very, I wouldn't even say strong first half. They looked mid in the first half. And yet they were up 14 points. In the second half, seemingly everything just, it just became frustrating. You know, Penn State, after scoring only 26 points in the first half, scored 39 in the second. And even when they brought Keaton back in the second to try to fix things, it didn't work out too well. You can tell this team was discombobulated. Now, you know, let's be honest, you know, the fact that this was played in Philadelphia and that Penn Stadium, which I can't stand, and those of you guys who watched my pregame show where I kind of previewed this game, I vented my frustrations because they always play in a different spot with when it comes to Illinois and Penn State. And it's the little quirks like that that sometimes cause havoc for Illinois. We all remember Coleman Hawkins a couple seasons ago with that last second foul. So I'm not going to say I'm sitting here surprised that this game was as close. In fact, again, it's very hard to win in the road in the Big Ten Conference. I'm very satisfied that you won the game. I'm more upset big picture wise. Because if Mihailo's not your guy, that's fine. But then who is? Because Keaton, I understand, is a super smart intelligent basketball player. But he's going to have off nights. He had 2 turnovers, I think, in the first 4 minutes today. Am I wrong? I believe he had like 2 turnovers in the first 4 minutes. So it's like he started off struggling. I know his stats ended up playing just fine. In 20 minutes, he had 16 points, 4 of 9 from the field. But clearly not his best game. And despite it not being his best game, Illinois was up 40-26 at halftime. But in the second half, well, everything just kind of fell off the table. I'll get to some more of my thoughts right after this. Let's talk about something men don't bring up, but absolutely should. Stress from work, money, life. It doesn't just switch off at night. And when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rugiet Ready is designed to help you take back control. Rugiet Ready is a next-generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body so you can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. The science behind Rugiet Ready stands out. 3 clinically proven ingredients in one formula designed for both mental and physical readiness. It's easy to understand why over 150,000 men have already made the switch. Most men are ready in about 15 minutes on average, so you can stay present, confident, and in control when the moment is right. If you've been thinking about taking the next step, now's the time. Head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. Rugiet Ready. Feel present, feel confident, feel ready. You know, in a way, it's nice that after an 8-point victory at a place that you historically don't play very well at, that you do still get to celebrate a victory, right? Like if you take it, I'm noticing myself during that ad, the tone that I had in that first segment. As silly as it sounds, I know it's a saying on the show now, and my everydayers know it. A win is a win is a win. And it's absolutely true in this case. But we've talked about how these next 7 games, and now there's 5 left, are supposed to be easy. There's no way any of us are going to feel very, super confident with that, right? I mean, if I had to put the over-under at set at something at how many losses in the next 5, I feel like I would have to place it at 1.5, because even the most diehard, even the most optimistic, and I consider myself one of the more optimistic, is assuming we're probably going to give up one of these games. As I mentioned, it could have been today. But let's go over, actually no. Let's spin zone this a little bit, right? We're angry. I get it. Live post game. My everydayers in here know this. For 24 hours, we can say whatever we want, whether it's rational, irrational. Let me know in the comment section who your MVP of the game is. You can't use Keaton. Let's do that because he's kind of the clear one. And by the way, ILL, let's get some INIs in the chat as well. Let's try to talk a little positivity into this. The defense itself, I think the defense is kind of back, right? I know I just got finished telling you that in the second half, what was it? Let me look that up again one more time. Gave up 36 points, was it? 39 points in the second half. But the 26 in the first half, basically you forced Penn State. I'm sorry, I should have had this ready earlier. Penn State shot 34.8% from the field, shot 21% from 3-point range. And again, this is a team, their only chance of winning was hitting their 3-point shots. Defensively, they're not very good. And that's why I say we're lucky. And again, here we go with the spin zone, right? Some of you that are angry, I get it. Some of you who are very upset, I get it. But if Brad hasn't discovered this flaw yet, to have him discover it today was the perfect opponent. Because Penn State doesn't have that strength to negate that flaw, to take advantage of that flaw, even when we essentially handed it to him. Again, Penn State shot 34.8 from the field, 21% from 3-point land, and made only 9 of 14 free throws. Illinois didn't do much better, shooting 39.3% from the field, 6 of 27 from 3-point land. I mean, How does that not drive you crazy? And they did end up shooting 23 from 28 from free throw. And again, that's what probably made this comfortable, right? Like, I don't know how to describe this. I joked around about it in the Talk Illini Discord. This was the most tense 12-point lead at one point in this game. It was the most tense 12-point lead that we've ever had. In a lot of ways, this is the most stressful 8-point win over a really bad team that we've had in a while. But the positive spin here is that Brad did learn something today. And that, because we've got to figure out what that alternative is. Mike Rhodes couldn't figure it out, but Dusty May will. Matt Painter absolutely will. We have games. That Iowa game, that already is a 50-50 type of game. You're not going to win that game if you don't figure out what the backup plan is outside Keaton Wagler. David Mirkovic today in 26 minutes had 13 points, 10 rebounds. He's my MVP. If for no other reason, like you didn't really pay much attention to him, and he produced 13 and 10, which is why I think he's so incredibly valuable. Andrei Stojakovic, kind of stat padding, 31 minutes, 12 points, 6 rebounds. Kyle Boswell, 35 minutes, 18 points, 4 rebounds. I don't even want to go through these stats because I don't think it matters today. And tell me if I'm wrong. For me, it's just my level of frustration. Let's just go ahead and let's get to your guys' thoughts right after this, because I feel like this could be a good venting session episode. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the game tips off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 5 to 6:30 Central have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect. Right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour. Every Friday from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Central Time, a little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, Saturday night, I'm going to give you guys the floor. Let's hear what you guys got to say. Leave me whatever comments you want, and I'll try to get through as many of them as I possibly can. Chuck says, Sonny needing a drink before he gets on. I'm not going to confirm nor deny that comment. Chuck also says, I'm so over anyone saying good things about Tommy. This is tricky. Chuck, you bring up a really good point. It's one of those where I call Locked On Illini a place where you cannot slander Tommy. I said that multiple times over the offseason, and I've given him every excuse in the book. I made it on his behalf. And again, on one hand, he did end up with the second highest plus minus on this basketball team today, but he clearly doesn't look like the Tommy that he was last year. In 17 minutes today, he had 0 points. Let me repeat that. In 17 minutes today, Tomislav Ivica, your starting center, had 0 points and 2 rebounds and 4 blocks. What's the point of Tomislav being on the floor in that sort of scenario? Again, his defense wasn't too bad. He was very vocal on defense, which is what he was really good at last year. He's not athletic. He's not himself a good defensive player, but I think he's a good quarterback. If you guys recall last year, what I equated Tomislav Ivica to was the Joakim Noah of the Derrick Rose years, where Joakim kind of directed everyone where to go on defense. Tommy obviously is nowhere near the defensive player that Joakim was, but I'm just talking about verbally. But Tomislav puts up a 0 spot. Big Z today in 23 minutes had 6 points. 2 of 4 from shooting, shot 1 of 3 from three-point land. He had 5 blocks at least, 5 blocks and 10 rebounds. At some point, the conversation needs to happen, and I'm trying to avoid it because I'm hoping the next game is finally he's back. And you know what? Brad Underwood keeps talking about in every post-game show, and I'm sure he's bringing up today. Why is Illinois getting better and better? Oh, it's practice. These guys are getting healthy again, and the conditioning is back. And that's what I keep telling myself in the back of my head about Tomislav. Because this version of Tomislav, this team is... they may not escape the first weekend. If that's your starting center, this team is not going to escape that first weekend. And all our nightmares come true. But if we get the Tomislav that we got a couple of games ago, well, now you're talking about a team that can legitimately, and I'm not being facetious here, the one that could make the Elite Eight, make a Final Four run. But how long do you wait? And I say that because Brad's not going to make a change. We know Brad Underwood at this point. He's not going to make a lineup change, even though it seems plenty obvious that this team is better when Big Z is on the floor. When Big Z is having one of his good games, he should be playing 25 to 30 minutes, and Tommy should be playing 15. But wouldn't you want those more productive minutes at the start of the game? Doesn't it just make sense for Big Z to start? It's not going to happen with Brad. Which is why all I can sit here is be annoyed and say, let's be patient. Let's just wait. But how much longer are we going to wait? I literally said this segment I was going to give you guys before, and here I go ranting and raving again. Fox River says a win is a win, but Brad has struggled against Penn State High School. That's what, no doubt. Sarah says a good thing Big Z came to play. Absolutely. Let's see what else you guys got here. William says they just look like they didn't think they need to play hard, that Penn State was just going to roll over. Czar says, looks like a one and done to me. First weekend, Brad is consistent. Czar, today I kind of agree with you. If that's what they play like, they played very mid, even when they're up 14 in the first half. But that tells you how good this team is, right? That's why, in the same breath, I can tell you that this team, I think, has Final Four potential. Because even if they just play average, they can go up 14 points on a basketball team at halftime. In 20 minutes, they can go up 14 points by just playing mid. Their C+, B- game. But then you just see second halves like that where all of a sudden they just get so confused and discombobulated and confused on how to run an offense. That makes me paranoid. And of course, being an Illini fan, being amongst you Illini fans who constantly like to remind me, in particular the Debbie Downers, this is a team that doesn't have much success in March. And so that paranoia is always going to be there. And even if I think that this team's ceiling is higher than the previous year's ceiling, which I do, when you spot the vulnerability, which I had done all season long, but then I saw it in action today. That's, again, I hate to say it, I'm satisfied with the win, but I'm nervous a little bit moving forward because that's something to look out for. Next game, if Keaton gets sick, if he's hurt, or he gets into foul trouble, I want all of you to think about it. Let's see if they learned anything from that experience. Is it Kylan? Is it Mihailo? This was why I wanted to give Mihailo minutes. Right? I acknowledge that he's not fit for this offense, but this offense only works if Keaton is running it. We saw an example of that today. Penn State stinks at defense. They play zero defense. They're, I think, in the 200 level when it comes to KenPom at defense. And against a team that absolutely stinks at defense, you couldn't do anything on offense. Why? Because Keaton was not on the floor. So that's why you need to have another angle. You can keep jabbing, and you may have a nice left hook, but sometimes if the opening is there, you need to know how to uppercut. I know nothing about boxing. I have no idea if that analogy works. Dave says, was there at the Palestra, and that was a terrible shooting night. Also, the refs were awful for both teams. Oh my God. I can't believe I've gone 24 minutes without talking about the referees. You're right. I mean, again, this is not, I'm not venting on the behalf of Illini fans. This was just, college games become unwatchable with referees. NBA games become unwatchable because the last 5 minutes take 25 minutes to a half hour. college games, if you have a bad crew out there, and guess what? We had high knees out there, so it was certainly a bad crew. It just makes college basketball hard to watch. Like, if you're not a Illini fan or you're not a Penn State fan, I would have turned the channel. Czar says, great decision to pay Tommy and lowball Morez. Czar, did not happen. You made that up. Illini says, offense looks concerning when Wagler is out. Stagnant. I love Tommy, but what is wrong with him? Nowhere near the same player he was last year. Defensive effort was solid in first half, but worse in second half. Good news is their defensive efficiency on Ken Pom went up to 26-23. Okay, so you know what? It's funny. I said I thought that this was a good defensive game, and then I remembered myself saying a couple minutes earlier, wait, they scored 39 points in the second half. But at least Ken Pom kind of agrees with me. If you're jumping up, top 23 defense, guys, when you already have the second best offense, this is what makes it so aggravating. This is why I'm all tense. I should be celebrating an 8-point victory against anybody in the Big Ten Conference. Okay, I don't get caught in the weeds. I don't get upset about loss or, upset about victories. A win is a win is a win, especially in this conference. But I'm more upset at what this one win could lead to future losses. Dave says, I agree. When Keaton was out, the offense was stalled. Yeah. Fox River, Tommy's play is highly concerning and still no signs from coaching staff to shift to the bet. That's not going to happen. Richard says, ugly. We can finally admit that Hummerkaus is really mediocre and basically a mid-major player. Whoa, where'd that come from? Ben had a bad game, but everyone had a bad game. No one really jumped out at you. Ben's had plenty of good games this year. Will says it's a win, but they don't play their game regardless of who they play. They need to be a machine. Czar says, Sonny, it just means that the Bosnian point guard stinks. He must be unplayable. Czar, I know I don't have to ask you to, question Brad Underwood. You're one of the guys in here who's not a fan of what Brad does. Unless he's unspeakably bad, which I don't think he is. I think this is just a Brad Underwood being stubborn and trying to play the algorithms too much, right? Keaton Wagler is on a historic pace when it comes to getting the plus minus for a basketball team. And Brad Underwood knows that the more you win games by, regardless of who the opponent is, that's how you shoot up Ken Pom. That's how you shoot up the net rankings. The AP, look, Illinois is ranked number 20. It's a joke if you think there's 19 better teams than the Fighting Illini. It's a joke. Okay, Illinois is a top 15, if not top 10. I think they're easily a top 10 team. Jason says, Ben can't score at all. Really, his shot looks awful. Defense is better, but not great. Got to agree now. Jason, again, I disagree. I agree with you on the shooting side. He's clearly lost confidence, but defensively, he's always in the right place at the right time. He plays a lot more physical. And like it or not, outside David, no one else does that on this basketball team. Like, we need a guy who's willing to put hands to body check. Ben Hummerkaus has become that guy, which again is hilarious compared to what we expected out of him, what style of player he was supposed to be a year ago. But he's become that guy. And I don't know why I addressed the Ben Hummerkaus folks, because no matter what he could go off for, 11 points. It's box score watchers with Ben. Let me put it that way. It's always just box score watchers. Like, if his box score doesn't look good, there's no such thing as eye tests. Will says, yes, full of themselves. Play like you're behind, even though you're up 20. Jim, thank you. Okay, so he says Ken Pom is 4 and defense is 23. So we dropped 2 spots offensively. We're now no longer a top 2. We're now top 4. C. Serena says, yes, Wagler's need for the offensive success. No backup plan is right. Lee needs more minutes. Yes, and I love that we play Lee, because Lee can play a very important part on this year's team. We need more guard depth, clearly, if you're not going to play Mahalo. But I really like Lee's potential next year. And if he gets some confidence this year, plays some solid minutes in the Big Ten Conference, he can be one of your key players in your rotation on next year's basketball team. And of course, in a way, I say that almost tongue-in-cheek because it's a Brad Underwood basketball team. We have no idea what next year's team is going to look like. Illini Big Al says, Ken Pom is still 8. We're fine. Absolutely. Again, it's the post-game show. right? My everydayers in here know this. I like to celebrate with you guys after a victory. I like to vent with you guys after a loss. Today it was a victory. I'm just upset at what I think could lead to future losses. Fedigator says, if Tommy can't snap out of this funk, it's going to make this season a lot tougher because Big Z's fouling issues at times. Yeah, I agree with you. Chuck says, Sonny, you're right. Everyone just got a huge scouting tip, even if they didn't already know what it was. Trust me, if we figured it out, not you, Chuck, I'm sure you're a very intelligent person, but if a bozo like me can see this on the basketball floor all season long, and again, that's why I was sitting here venting. Why play Keaton 39 minutes? He's smaller. I understand he's very good at basketball, but you're up 25 points. You need to figure out who else, if your engine is stalled, what's your backup plan? C. Serena says there was a different game in that they started strong, then got lost during the game. Need to play hard to the buzzer. I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was an effort thing. Maybe that's what I'll come up with on the rewatch. I don't think it was an effort thing. I think it was confusion. When the team's shots don't fall, what do? If the team's shots don't fall, then you're counting on Kylan Boswell and Andrei Stojakovic attacking the rim. You know? And again, Stojakovic was 4 for 9. Boswell was 5 for 13. By the way, Stojakovic 0 for 2 from 3-point line. What's that 3-point percentage at now? But did you guys notice the one fast break point that we had today? Who led that fast break point? It was Mihailo Petrovic. You know, that's I know I keep bringing him up, but it's stuff like we don't get easy transition points because every time Keaton and Kylan get a rebound or get it in transition, they slow it down. Sometimes your team just needs easy points. And Mihailo provided us with, he had an assist today and a steal in 4 minutes. Again, I might be the last one who has a house on Petrovic Island. Linus says, taking Keaton out of the game as a game plan is easier said than done. He's not your ordinary freshman. Sure, but it was done today, right? By Penn State. I'm not saying it's easy. Absolutely not. But Dusty May will figure it out. And if Dusty May won't figure it out, Matt Painter is going to figure it out. And if Matt Painter can't figure it out, what happens when you're in March and you're playing your second game in 2 games and Keaton is just tired? And he commits fouls that, he wouldn't naturally commit. It's going to have, this is not the only game where Keaton Wagler is going to get into foul trouble. Jason says, Tommy doesn't look like he wants to be out there. Is your emotion from this dude? Average team this year. Will says they have the talent, but the coaching stinks. I'm not going to necessarily be there. Jason says, Sonny, nothing really changes either. This coaching staff, it's mostly likely going to be stand around offense, look for hero ball and shooting the threes. Same old story with Brad. He's not a good head coach. Respectfully disagree. Jim says, I'm not that surprised. We've had a lot of trouble with Penn State over the past several years, way more trouble than we've had against Michigan. Yeah, Jim, see, that's also what makes me nervous about the next game. We're playing Rutgers, and we always lose to Rutgers. Right. So it's one of those. I'm hoping the fact that we had such an uneasy game today gets them ready for that Rutgers game next week. Because you're right. Historically, we do struggle against Penn State. William says, careful, Sonny. Right now at Iowa, it looks like a loss if this is the way they're going to play. Yeah, that's exactly what I brought up. Iowa's going to be a loss because they really slow the game down, and that's a death knell for this team. You know what? I don't know. If I'm being honest, this team likes the slow down offense. Unless you slow it down to the point where they fall asleep, I think this team is more vulnerable to a team that can push it. To a team that can not let Illinois settle down. Because, again, Keaton and Kylan want to slow down this offense. That's their style. Keaton is highly efficient. He 9 out of 10 times will make the right play. But we don't have a guy who, if this team grabs a long rebound, how many times can you think of, you let me know, how many times do you remember this season easy fast break points that led to a layup or led to a dunk? Last year's team did actually not as much because Paris wasn't very good at that either. But 2 years ago, we did that all the time. Will says all this talent, but they're playing like a 2-and-done tournament team. We'll see. Illini says we'll win 4 out of 5. Agreed that Iowa is a loss. See, I hate that, right? I hate that I was right that I said that you have to set the Over under on losses at 1.5. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Appreciate all of you. Please, on your way out, make sure you hit the like button on this video. I think this is video number 10 of the week. It's easy to do because I continue to get the support from you guys. This channel has grown so much over the last 10 days. If you take a look at what our subscriber level was, and it's all because of you. We're getting so close to 4,000 on YouTube. And the audio side, oh my gosh, thank you all so much. Our downloads are breaking records every single week at this point. If you want to support the channel, nothing here costs you anything. I'm here whether you like it or not. If the Illini sports news happens, I am here. If you want to help me out, even if you're watching this on YouTube, go on your favorite audio platform, leave me a 5-star review. Honestly, trust me, that helps out and helps me out, and that's going to send it to other Illini fans. But regardless, I'll be here again tomorrow. We have a lot of transfer portal stuff to talk about, guys. I didn't even let you guys get to that. If you guys have any questions, talkillini@gmail.com. We have a quarterback on campus. Keaton Wagler is on campus, and hopefully Illinois is going to be able to lock it down. If we do, I'll go breaking news live. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on Monday. Until next time, ILL. Love you guys.